For more than a century, inventors, visionaries, and even charlatans have claimed that flying cars are on the verge of becoming a reality. But then, why are we still not seeing them? Are they hiding something from us? The idea of flying cars has been a dream rooted in the human imagination for more than a century. From science fiction to the projects of visionary engineers, flying cars represent the yearning to overcome the limitations of ground transportation. Throughout history, this concept has evolved, driven by technological advances, but it has also faced numerous technical and regulatory challenges. These will be discussed below. The first attempts to create flying cars date back to the early 20th century. Glenn Curtiss, an aviation pioneer, introduced the Curtiss autoplane in 1917. This vehicle combined an automobile with an airplane, with detachable wings and a propeller at the rear. Although it never flew, the autoplane laid the groundwork for future innovations in flying cars. In 1940, Henry Ford, automotive industry visionary, predicted, "Mark my words, an airplane and automobile combination is coming. You can smile, but it will come." Today, 80 years later, that smile persists. Although we have yet to see a fully functional, commercially available vehicle that can travel both by road and air with equal ease. What do you think of his words? Later, in the jet age, new attempts were made to develop flying cars. In 1949, Moulton Taylor designed the Aero car, a vehicle that could transform into an airplane. The Aero car flew successfully and received FAA certification. Unfortunately, Taylor's machine never received the 500 orders needed to reach production status, and only 6 were built. Another notable attempt was the AVE Mizar in 1973, which combined a Ford Pinto automobile with the wings of a Cessna airplane. Of the Ford Pinto we already made a video, recognized for being the most dangerous car in history. I leave the video in the description. Although some test flights were made, the project ended tragically in a fatal accident that underlined the dangers of combining land and air vehicles. And it is here that we encounter the first challenges. On the technological side, the vehicles combined the complexity of automobiles and airplanes, resulting in design, weight, and aerodynamic problems. The engines available at the time lacked the power and efficiency needed to support a hybrid vehicle. In addition, the materials used were not light and strong enough. Not to mention the infrastructure, as there were no adequate takeoff and landing facilities for these vehicles in urban areas. In 1985, a before and after was marked. The Back to the Future trilogy, and in particular the second installment of the series, had a significant impact on the public perception of flying cars. Released in 1989, Back to the Future 2 presented a futuristic vision of the year 2015, where flying cars were an integral part of everyday life. The iconic scene of Marty McFly's flying DeLorean not only captured the imagination of millions of viewers, it also influenced popular culture by establishing a tangible and exciting image of what flying cars could be like. This collective imagination prompted engineers, inventors, and companies to seriously explore the possibility of turning this cinematic fantasy into reality. And that is why today, there are more than 400 startups in the advanced aerial mobility industry. This term ranges from real flying devices to more traditional-looking aircraft, but generally refers to eVTOLs, electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles. For the most part, these craft more closely resemble helicopter-airplane hybrids than automobiles and are not designed for road travel. Here I want to recall a clip from the Joe Rogan podcast, in which famed astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson wonders why anyone would want a flying car in the first place.
I want a flying car.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the point is, we already have flying cars. They're called helicopters. They're noisy. They have to create a downward thrust of air equal to its own weight. If you're going to have a flying car, that's what it's going to have to do.
Right.
They're noisy. They completely disrupt the terrain wherever they fly.
There has been talk that a closer use for flying cars will be as air cabs, initially with pilots and then without, ferrying passengers between vertiports in neighborhoods. Matthew Clark, a postdoctoral researcher in aeronautical engineering at MIT, said, "At best, we'll see certification in 2 years, and flights 2 to 3 years after that." The 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles could include airlifting athletes from the Olympic Village to their stadiums. And the fact is that this sector, not having a clear route to follow, we find 2 directions. One includes aircraft that can be driven, but require a pilot's license and a runway for takeoff and landing, intended for wealthy enthusiasts. The other, more transformative, consists of fully autonomous eVTOL machines, similar to drones, that do not need runways and are pay-per-use, following the Uber model. Alex Zozil, co-founder of Volocopter GmbH, supports autonomous air cabs, eliminating human error and freeing up space for additional passengers. Volocopter's current design, an 18-rotor 2-seater, flies up to 30 minutes at 60 miles per hour. In 2017, an unmanned version completed a test flight in Dubai, which plans to use these cabs for 25% of its urban passenger trips by 2030. Sam Bousfield, founder of Samson Sky, prefers roadworthy aircraft, such as his Switchblade, because of the lack of infrastructure and regulations for eVTOLs. He plans to sell the Switchblade as a kit at about $120,000. PAL vs Liberty gyroplane, which requires a pilot's license, uses blades for lift and can switch to road mode in 15 minutes. But it will be far from inexpensive, with pre-orders starting at $400,000. So, why haven't we seen flying cars yet? The answer lies in the combination of technology and regulation. Emerging technologies, such as eVTOLs, have not yet reached a level of maturity and reliability that allows for mass deployment. In addition, the infrastructure to support takeoff and landing in urban areas, such as vertiports, is virtually non-existent. There are also enormous regulatory challenges. Government agencies must establish new rules and standards to ensure safety in an already congested airspace. These factors combined make the implementation of flying cars a much bigger challenge than it seems. Despite optimistic predictions, flying cars are likely to face significant delays before they become an everyday reality.